everyone, welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we will be looking at the political situation of the country and the recent developments. Yesterday, our program also focused on what is going on and whether or not the current ruling government is in trouble. We spoke about the recent developments, which of course are in relation to the numbers game, on which a lot of people's eyes are set. We know that the no confidence motion has been tabled and there will be voting soon. But of course, the numbers still keep on changing and fluctuating. What really is going to happen on the day is still questionable. But the recent developments and what has been developing with regards to the political parties and their responses is something that we will try to explore and understand in our show today. We of course know that Chaudhry Pervez Elahi has been nominated by the Prime Minister to be the next CM Punjab after Usman Basdar gave his resignation. This of course has been a topic of debate with regards to the political parties as well, who are still in fact trying to get him to get on board with the opposition as well. And there have been talks who really is behind these things and what is really happening in terms of what they want to offer to the PMLQ still, and whether or not they're blaming the right people. We're going to take a look at all of this as well, and then of course the way that different numbers have changed in the past. At the end of the show, we'll also be taking a look at the situation in the country with regards to what the Interior Ministry has confirmed is terrorist groups regrouping in Balochistan. This, of course, is an important aspect for the country, and it's important to understand the kind of operational measures that are put in place with regards to this particular threat, and then, of course, what sort of plan is there to counter it. This is something that the government has been taking a look at since the Taliban regime has come into power as well. We've seen recent attacks in Balochistan in the past as well, and what really is going to be done with effect to the regrouping is what we're going to be exploring in our show at the end. With our first segment, we've been joined, of course, as usual, by Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal, and also on Skype we've been joined by our guests. Let me just introduce Mr. Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan, who's a leader PMLN, and we've also been joined by Hafiz Ehsan Ahmed Khogar, who's an advocate, Supreme Court of Pakistan. He's a constitutional and legal expert, of course, and we'll be talking to him in further detail. We'll also be joined on telephone line by other guests, and I'll introduce them as soon as they've joined in. We have been joined, in fact, by Dr. Zarka Sohrawardy, who's a senator, PTI. Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of the show today. Before I move on with reference to what is really happening, Farrukh, yesterday we also reviewed the way that the numbers have been changing. Yeah. What is the current situation with regards to that?
Right. We can only tell what exactly is going on by the declarations that happen in public sphere. If you remember yesterday, the tally of the opposition had reached 164, and then we saw after PMLQ move that one MP, that is one MNA, decided, who was minister, that he is stepping down and he is going to vote with the opposition. That brings it to 165. Then we heard that out of 4 out of 5 BAP MNAs are going to vote with the opposition as well. So that brings the total tally to 169. And in this house, you need 172 to make the majority. Today, there was a presser by People's Party, and in that press, of course, or joint opposition for that matter, Bhutani Sahab from Balochistan, the former speaker of Balochistan Assembly, also announced that he is going to vote with the opposition. So it brings the total number to 170 from the opposition side. The government's earlier number was 178, 179. Then it came down because of all these so-called defections. And then we saw that the number stood at 172. Then, of course, one seat is vacant. So that makes it 171. Of course, there are many loose bodies who can go either way, but it seems at this moment that it is neck and neck.
All right, thank you for that update. We're also going to go now to Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan and speak to him with regards to the PMLQ. There is talk a lot with regards to what really went wrong with regards to the opposition party's efforts in terms of the offer that had been put in place. Of course, Mariam Nawaz is also being spoken about with reference to how that is part of the reason why the PMLQ did not join the opposition. And they're saying that there are still efforts underway and that perhaps the game will change. Is that so?
And Rana Ehsan, one person from your own party, your own city actually, Rana Sanaullah actually stated that it was because of People's Party, and People's Party is blaming your party because you didn't make mind. So who is at fault here, sir? What happened in Punjab?
I think no one is at fault. It's as we're nearing the no confidence day. Each side is trying to woo the alliance partners of the government. I would agree with Pitafi Saab that the tally is 170, but if you add over 24, PTI members who are tired of their party, that brings our tally to almost 194. So we're pretty comfortable with the number game. And when specifically answering your question about PMLQ and MQM, we are still in touch with them. We are still, in talks with them, and we believe that there is still time left that we can turn the tables around for those two major parties as well. So
right.
That is
Rana Sahab, you just mentioned the dissidents from PTI. We still have to hear from them their final decision. But regardless of that, let us go back to Punjab, because Punjab seems to be the biggest prize at this moment, because the Chief Minister already has decided to step down. The question now is, who's going to be your party and joint opposition candidate from Punjab? Can you name somebody so that we know that all of you are on the same page, sir?
First, I'd like to make a correction. In the intro, it was said that the Prime Minister has nominated Pervez Elahi Saab as the CM for Punjab. He has not, you don't nominate the Chief Minister. He has to go through an election. And so he is the election candidate from PTI. And there is still a lot of game left when it comes to Punjab. We have to see how many PTI members support Pervez Elahi Saab. We have to see how the Jahangir Tareen group reacts to this. And,
who are you going to support, sir? Who is your candidate?
Our candidate, well, as of now, we believe the party has not declared any candidate, and still the discussion is ongoing. So I can't name anyone specifically because the party has not announced it.
Let me make the things easier for you. At the center, opposition leader by default is being considered your party, or at least joint opposition's common candidate. Can we say the same thing about Punjab, sir? Hamza Shahbaz?
Well, we had offered the CM-ship to Pervez Elahi Saab as well. So, till yesterday, he was our candidate, and he was the candidate for PDM and People's Party as well. So, a day has passed by since then, and we still believe that we can bring Pervez Elahi Saab back into, our side, and the talks and conversation are still ongoing. If PML decides to take
when you talk about the CM-ship also being offered to Pervez Elahi from your side as well, and as of yesterday you were saying that he was also aligned with your party, then what really changed, and what more could you offer to Pervez Elahi or PMLQ for them to really change their stance?
Well, PMLN thinks that it is better for the country if we could go for general elections sooner, because if a coalition government comes after the no confidence, we believe that with a mandate of 15 months, it would not be possible to take the economic challenges head on and other challenges as well. So we believe that, the tenure of this coalition government should be maybe 6 months or 3 months. So that is also under discussion. So maybe that was a point where maybe PMLQ thought that the tenure should be of the full remaining period of this assembly. So maybe that was...
Let me also go to Dr. Zarqa before we continue the conversation and add her into the discussion as well. Dr. Zarqa Sohrawardy, when you hear what the PMLN is talking about with reference to Pervez Elahi and the PMLQ, they're still hopeful that they can get the stance to be changed. But of course, the PTI is looking at the situation in its own angle. Do you think that this is something that the opposition should not be hoping for? We have a confirmation from the PMLQ and we don't need to worry about them anymore?
Ji, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. I was listening to the PML narrative. And, if you look at it dispassionately, there is no strength in their argument, because why would the people who have joined the government who are in government with the current government, which is one party, why would they want to leave their current ministries, their current speakership, their current chief ministership, which they've recently been offered as well, and go to a group where you have 8, 9, 10 parties and two major parties who are fighting amongst themselves. And these people, people who are in coalition with PTI, they have another year and a half of clear government time to go. If they choose the opposition, then they lose that 1.5 years. They don't even know if there'll be elections after 3 months or 4 months. The only thing that made all of this hullabaloo possible was the money that was injected. And it's the money which is, I'm sorry to say, reflects the very, very poor moral values of our people.
Dr. Zarqa, let us talk about your own dissident groups. Let us talk about Aleem Khan group and Jahangir Tareen. Are you confident they are going to vote for your party, ma'am?
Pitafi Saab, I would appreciate if you let me finish my argument.
But this is television, ma'am. One has to keep on moving, right?
Just hold on a second. So these people, what we as Pakistanis need to understand is that it's not about the politics, it's not about the games that are being played. This is about Pakistan. We chose such a terrible time when the OIC was happening. This is a government which held 2 OIC conferences in 3 months, which is unprecedented. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was ousted in 1970s because he held 1 OIC conference. And you have seen the letter which the Prime Minister pointed out or in his Jalsa on Sunday. So all of this points towards a very, very serious conspiracy. Of course, we're not talking about where it's coming from, but the document itself is damning. And I don't think any Pakistani, once you understand what the document says, this entire no confidence motion has been pushed forward by money, by outside forces who want that Prime Minister Imran Khan, who is bringing Pakistan to another level.
Absolutely. Dr. Zarqa, you realize that we are hosting a show, of course. There's a dearth of time. I hope that you, at some point, you're going to answer my question as well.
But that you will only know on the day of the voting. I am not an astrologer that I will tell you at this point. It is a game of wait and see. Everyone plays their cards. It's unfortunately become a game where Pakistan is at stake in many ways. But
right, and this is an important point, of course, when you talk about Dr. Zarqa, when you talk about, of course, the PMLQ, and there's a lot of confidence there as well, with regards to perhaps the dissidents or other members of the party as well, perhaps the same confidence can be shown from the PTI as well, especially after when we see Usman Buzdah's resignation coming in. Do you think that we have all of the people within the ranks of the PTI on the same page with regards to Pervez Elahi and Punjab, and that they're not really going to defect? Can you say that with confidence, at least with regards to your party?
I think I can say with a lot of confidence that Chaudhry Pervez Elahi has a history of 30 years with his family. He has a history with People's Party. He has a history with PMLN. They have a history with the establishment. They know how to bring people on their side. Even as a speaker, Chaudhry Pervez Elahi got more votes than the chief minister when their elections took place in the Punjab Assembly. So I have absolutely no doubt that Chaudhry Pervez Elahi will be able to win this once the elections are...
All right. Yeah, Dr. Zarqa. Dr. Zarqa, if we talk about obviously Chaudhry Pervez Elahi gaining his votes in Punjab, and there are sources very close to government as well who are telling that not only this, that he will be grabbing on votes from the other parties. I mean, he is getting votes from PTI, but he will be gaining votes from the other parties as well, like People's Party and PMLN in Punjab. And at the same time, they are claiming that a politician like Chaudhry Pervez Elahi, he would help out the center as well, and the number which is being claimed by PDM, they will not be able to gain that momentum to achieve 172 in the center to oust the Prime Minister. Am I right?
Absolutely, and this is 100%. They are not going to succeed, and you can see it from their body language. I mean, yesterday Mariam had her show in Islamabad. There was not more than 1,000, 2,000 people. Most of the people were either from Jamiyat-e-Ulama-Islam, they're workers who were here. So it is
is there an understanding that Chaudhry Pervez Elahi will be helping out the center as well? Talking to the PMLN MNAs and PPP MNAs?
Well, this is my information from watching television. This is the breaking news that various channels are giving, that he will be doing, he's been given a task as well. So,
yeah.
I have not, but this is what the channels are saying, so I believe it must be true if their sources are correct.
Rana Saab, I wanted to come towards you. Could you please confirm that there are a few disgruntled MNAs of PMLN as well as People's Party who are waiting someone like Chaudhry Pervez Elahi to talk to them and obviously, you know, help out PTI or help out Imran Khan out of their conscience to save him?
Well, you know, the dinners that have been, the PMLN has been hosting during the last few weeks, we have had complete attendance of our MNAs. So I can talk for my own party. Our party has 100% support of all the elected members in the National Assembly. So not even one is missing. I would like to, you know, respond to Dr. Zarka on the fact that why would the coalition partners or anyone side with the opposition? Because they have lost the by-elections by majority. They have lost their local body elections. Most of the, you know, popular surveys are saying that PTI has lost the popular support of the people of Pakistan. So this is a party which is sinking. It is sinking because it has.
Hang on. Rana Sahab, can you state any such poll as well? Because I haven't seen any of late of that sort.
Well, the recent few polls, the major ones, I'll share them later on with you. But all of them have, you know, they've said that PMLN is becoming the most popular party in Pakistan.
But Rana Sahab, ground realities are different. Did you not see the Jalsa other day that took place in Islamabad Parade Ground? It is being considered as one of the biggest, one of the most massive ones in Pakistan history.
Okay, well, the Jalsas do not, you know, they do not equate to popularity. They equate to good management. They equate to, you know, spending a lot of funds to gather people around, but they do not equate to
Ihsan, are you saying
popularity.
That your party cannot achieve that, cannot put up a good event or could not put in funds? Is that really what you're saying? Unfortunately, I think we've experienced a problem and we've lost connection with that. Apparently, Jalsas are only can only be boiled down to event management.
But when we talk about democracy, you know, it is all about people. I mean, government of the people, by the people, for the people. So if it is by the people, people has given their say other day at Parade Ground.
No, hang on. Let us be clear about this thing as well. I understand that their presence in the Jalsas is very important because that is optics, right? But when it comes to will of the people, that is actually exercised through the ballot box.
Right.
Let us not say that ballot box doesn't matter. That's why we are counting numbers. That's why we are seeing that there is so much pressure. And I think there is pressure on the dissident groups to join the government's ranks again. But that doesn't mean that parliament is good for nothing and actually Jalsas mean everything, right?
And they shouldn't be, in fact. And we're all counting on the fact that the power of the parliament is the one that actually reigns supreme. Dr. Zarka, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Right. So, Dr. Zarka, when we talk about, of course, the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of it is going to depend on the numbers as well, what sort of a plan does the government have in place till we have the vote to get in more and more people in, especially the dissidents as well, to get on board and to also retain the ones that are there? And what sort of measures are going to be put in place even beyond that? Because, of course, where we stand today, this obviously has happened as a result of a number of things.
Thank you very much. The reality of politics in Pakistan is that someone who gets elected to a seat in the parliament for 5 years does not want to lose one day of that 5 years. So I do not understand, and you have seen also, people who are elected do not want to give up their seats. They do not want to go, even if they are offered a lot of money, and go on the opposite side. But then if they have to give up their seat and elections are called earlier, then they lose the entire effort is lost. They don't want to come into power for a shorter time. That's number one. Number two, you have seen how things are changing. You have seen how the opposition has pumped money right, left, and center. We've got proof of it. Our ex-Prime Minister, Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, has been meeting people abroad. In London, he's been meeting envoys from Afghanistan, from Israel. We have all of that stuff, and it's on social media. Channels have also picked it up. So there's a big investment from abroad. India is also involved.
All right, Dr. Zarqa, I just want to understand one more thing over here as well. When we talk about, of course, the members being bought and being offered a lot of money, I understand how that's condemnable. But when we talk about the same dissidents being asked to rejoin the ranks as well, isn't that sort of in conflict with the ideology or the principles that the PTI keeps talking about? Because, of course, if you're losing people for money, do you really need them or want them to stay in the party?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. But, you know, when we went to court, when we went to Supreme Court to clarify Article 63A and the fact that this was put in the 18th Amendment by the previous government. And the articles, and we've asked the Supreme Court to clarify what happens to people who are elected on one party's vote, and then once they're in assembly, they go and vote for the opposite party. So, because that is something which is condemnable, and Article 63A is against that. So this is being debated. It's a matter which is in the Supreme Court, and the party members who have shown on television, who've come out and given their statements, they've all been given show cause notices, and they've all answered, by the way, and they've all said that we have not joined any other party. We are still with PTI. And we are still in whatever capacity they were there. So there is, I mean, until the day they vote, you cannot say that they've done anything. And they've gone back, and they've sort of gone back on what they said on those social media and television posts. So we'll just have to wait and see. And it's a game of nerves. It's an interesting match. But I keep thinking at the bottom of it, Pakistan is at stake, and that is very unfortunate, because when the people who represent the country, the masses, if they are lacking in morality, in their moral standards, in their principles, it's a shame.
Right. Yeah, Dr. Zarqa, sometimes matches do get abandoned as well. Is there any chance that this match will get abandoned?
Well, we'll only have to wait and see.
Right, Dr. Zarqa, earlier I asked a question about government formation in Punjab. There's a reason why I keep on asking this question. You must have heard I asked the PMLN representation as well. Punjab is the most populous province of the country, and it is important that we have a functioning executive. How confident are you that those dissidents who had announced that they are separate entities, Jahangir Tareen, and then of course Salim Khan as well, are you in contact with them, and are you confident that they are going to come back to the party and they are going to vote for Parvez Elahi Sahab?
Okay, let me just share something with you. A few hours back, Mr. Asad Umar and Fawad Chaudhry, they had a press conference where they detailed the details of the document that the Prime Minister spoke of in his Jalsa. And right after that press conference, he was approached by many party leaders who are being who are in with the government, in the current government, who said that, look, we thought this was only politics, but now the fact of the document that you have explained, it's another matter. It's a matter of Pakistan. It's a matter of, if we go against the government, then we are being traitors. So please, we want to have another meeting with you. So things change when the paradigm shifts, and when the greater game which is being played. You remember that Liaquat Ali Khan was murdered in 1951 or assassinated. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was hung in the 70s, and Ziaul Haq himself was. There was a bomb in the mango crates. So all of these were, outside conspiracies, and we all know that Pakistan has been called the phone call country. One phone call, and whatever anyone says, we follow.
So Dr. Zarqa, you're trying to say You're trying to say that the opposition parties are actually part of it without knowing the facts about the conspiracy, and they don't know that there is conspiracy going on.
Absolutely.
Still they are being part of it unintentionally?
Yes, yes, because you see the top leaders, the gentleman who's sitting abroad, who's being the contact for all the foreign agencies, he is the one, and then the other gentleman who's here, Mr. Zardari. So they and perhaps a very few others know the reality of where the money is coming from and what's the bigger gain. But the people who are being played around with, they are only now getting to know the reality and the seriousness of the entire issue. And these are all people who are Pakistanis, who are patriots.
Right. Let me just come to Rana Sahab as well, and also ask him with reference to, I'll come to you, Faisal, with reference to what is being discussed regarding the conspiracy as well. Do you think that this is something that you have an answer for, and that this is something that you can, that perhaps can impact the way that you will actually move on with the opposition parties and the no confidence motion and the way that things are going with regards to the conspiracy? Do you have, as Dr. Zarqa was saying, if you're unawares, do you have any change of stance as a possibility?
Okay, firstly, you know, when they say there is money in the game, if there's money in the game, prove it. You know, register FIRs against it. You have the agencies with you, you have the intelligence with you. Bring something, bring some evidence. But there is no evidence. Okay, about the international conspiracy, my theory is that the no confidence is happening because we believe that the establishment is neutral and there's neutrality. They're working according to the Constitution of Pakistan, and that is the reason why the no confidence is happening. And PTI is saying that it is happening because of an international conspiracy. That is equating that the establishment is involved in that international conspiracy. I don't,
so are you saying there is no international conspiracy? Is that what you're saying? That there is none?
Yes, I'm saying so. Another fact, you know, if there was an international conspiracy before, Pervez Elahi Saab was a part of that international conspiracy, and now, you know, because he has been offered the CM-ship, he has left that international conspiracy and is now willing to become a CM. And Buzdar has been the first victim of that international conspiracy. For God's sake.
Right, Rana Sahab, if you remember, regardless of whether there is a conspiracy or not, if you remember, there is a question of smoking guns. Of course, one smoking gun is in Prime Minister's possession, that letter. The other one, if you remember, last time you were part of my defunct show, and the former Prime Minister had met Hamdullah Mohib at that time, and I told you that it is going to come back to haunt you. And today that is being cited as an example of smoking gun, is it not? Shouldn't your leadership be more careful when it meets people, when especially they are sitting abroad on health leave or something like that?
Well, you see, ex-prime ministers or politicians meet all sorts of people. You know, they could be from your enemy states, which you feel that are not friendly with your country. They could be, you know, so politicians are meeting everyone all the time. It doesn't mean that it is a conspiracy by meeting someone. So I guess, you know, if
someone
that is
who is actively rebuking Pakistan, somebody who is actively defaming Pakistan is quite a character, right? Hamdullah Mohib was quite a character. You will agree with me.
But he was part of the Afghan government, and we were having talks with the Afghan government. We were meeting with them. We were, you know, they were a part of the Taliban talks. So with the US. So I mean, having a meeting with someone does not mean there is a conspiracy. First of all, I don't believe that. And if this is the pitch of PTI, I'm sorry to say it will fail miserably. Secondly, if there is a letter, you know, show the contents, give it to your agencies, bring it to the parliament and prove it. But just, you know, by making it like a TV serial that, oh, we have an evidence and then not telling it, not taking any action on it, it is all political gimmicks, and we've seen this by the PTI many times before.
Right. Let me, with your permission, let me go back to Senator Zarqa. Mr. Wardi. Ma'am, since we were talking about this very important thing, this letter, let me ask you, I understand that there must be national security issues involved, and that's why the letter cannot be shown to the public, even though the honorable ministers, as you pointed out, offered to show it to the Chief Justice of Pakistan. Let me ask you, is there a possibility that in Senate at least, which is the territorial house of the country, a redacted version can be presented so that other senators like your good self can also examine it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Pitafi. Now, it will be to PTI's credit, and it will be a win-win situation for us if we make the document public. But Pakistan will suffer because these are important nations. We cannot take their names. Listen, please let me finish. So, in the interest of Pakistan, the Prime Minister and his team has decided that they will not make it public, but the Chief Justice of Pakistan, who is a very honorable person, he's the third pillar of the government, he will be shown the letter and it will be discussed. And the issue is that if, and you will get validation if you don't believe the Prime Minister, you will get validation on that. But the point is that, you know, the Senate, I mean, whatever route it takes, these are things that, this is for the first time that a Prime Minister who has the courage to come out and speak of these things. These things happen every time. In every regime it has happened. But which Prime Minister of Pakistan has ever taken it on himself to bring it out? They're all cowards. With apologies, with due respects to everyone, they get one phone call. You know what, Mr. Colin Powell
I'll come to your answer.
When he called, when they called Prime Minister President Musharraf after 9/11, and they said that, you know, these are the things we need you to comply with. And he's written in his book that they thought if there were 7 demands, they might be able to push Pakistan to agree to 1 or 2 or 3. And President Musharraf on a single phone call agreed to all 7. So that's the kind of slave mentality we have. Even our politicians, you must have heard it, they are waiting for a phone call. They are waiting for the umpire. They are waiting for somebody to tell them. And no
right,
one
Dr. Zarqa, Dr. Zarqa, I understand that. I just have a question to ask with reference to this. Of course, we understand that this is a matter of national security and it's a matter of huge concern, and which is why the details cannot be shared. But of course, the threat itself has also been made public. Why was that important?
That is important so that the public knows what is going on with the country, so that the leadership does not play, doesn't play dealer with the country and take personal gains and put Pakistan at risk. So this is important. For the first time in Pakistan's history, we have come out as a sovereign nation. We have changed our foreign policy to become an independent country that wants peace with everyone and does not want to be anybody's proxy nation. You know, we as Pakistanis have allowed outside countries to bomb our own people. Who does that? No sovereign country will allow that. We have done that. Last time when Osama bin Laden was caught, for 3 days, nobody in government spoke up and said what happened. So we have been a nation of cowards who've sold our souls to whoever was the highest bidder. For the first time, this is a Prime Minister who has the guts, who has the leadership, who has the courage to stand up. And we as Pakistanis like that. We want to stand on our own 2 feet. We are not people who are lackey to others. We respect all the nations of the world and we respect other people. But we want equal respect in return. We do not want to be sold and...
All right. Thank you, Dr. Zarqa. Ihsan Saab, I'll come to you. You wanted to add something earlier.
Yes. So, you know, this is a farce. And so there is no confidence against this government. And they bring in evidence that they announce to the 220 million Pakistanis that we have this evidence, and by this evidence we have made a judgment that there is an international conspiracy which is being done by the opposition against us, which is bringing a no confidence because of that. But we can't tell you what it is about. We're not going to take any action against the international conspirators or the opposition. We're not going to show it to anyone, and we're not going to take it to the parliament, but we will show it to the Chief Justice, who will not take any action because he's an elder. We'll just show the contents to him. What a farce. I mean, come on.
Just
Who's
to
going
clarify,
to buy
right?
this narrative?
But Rana Sahab, with due respect, just to clarify, you are saying that there hasn't been any conspiracy against Pakistan from abroad at all. I asked this because last time there was a memo gate. Your party's leader, who later on became Prime Minister again, donned a lawyer's uniform and went as a lawyer to the Supreme Court of Pakistan to advocate from the other side, to advocate against the memo gate.
I'm saying that because the establishment is neutral, the opposition is making a move of no confidence, which is supported by dissidents of PTI who have seen that they have lost the by-elections, they have lost their local body elections, there is inflation, there is unemployment, there is massive misgovernance, and we are just, we're following the constitutional path by this no confidence motion.
Absolutely, but your views on memo gate, sir.
No confidence motion is allowed by the Constitution.
Your views on memo gate, sir.
No. What I'm saying is what we're doing is by the Constitution, and it's not a big thing. Democracies have no confidence motions when they lose, the governments lose their majority. You go for these type of things. This is nothing out of the Constitution. Nothing unconstitutional is happening, and they're saying that this is an international conspiracy.
Right, Ehsan Sahab, at the end of the day, of course, both can also be true. This is not an argument to refute the previous one as well. But as Farrukh was talking about with reference to the memo gate, do you have any response to that?
Well, I agree. There are international conspiracies in different countries, and they happen, but they don't lead changes in the country. And the country has intelligence agencies. They can respond. They can expose things. But nothing of that sort is. I believe that there is no international conspiracy with this no confidence motion. It is a constitutional matter.
Would you agree that Latin America is full of all of these regime change conspiracies and very successful ones? Would you agree with that?
Well, there are countries who have who have changes of their prime ministers like 10 times in a few years. So, this is no big deal. It is a constitutional matter which is being implemented, and there is no international conspiracy.
But there are known facts about there is a certain, intelligence agency that has a modus operandi of regime change, and it has been applied in Latin America and in Africa several times, and in South Asia as well. Would you agree with that, sir?
Well, the international conspiracy has definitely taken a toll on Buzdar Saab. So he's gone, one thing for sure.
Right. You certainly have a good sense of humor, by the way. But just to qualify this, Sana,
yes.
What Raja Saab here is talking about, now it is proven by the declassified documents of CIA itself, its own record. As per the law, they are bound to declassify their documents, 20 years old documents, right? Yeah. So there was this Dr. Ayande, who was a left-leaning, politician in Chile. And there, there is clear evidence, and they have actually acceded to this, that they supported General Pinochet's takeover. True. And that has been proven. But the problem is that was during the Cold War. Is it still happening is a question, because right now we saw something else. In Iraq, when they had to bring about a change, they had to invade the country, right? So I don't know whether they have that kind of finesse right now, but I certainly am, my interest is piqued by this letter, and I think it is going to snowball into something bigger.
Thank you very much, Ehsan Sahab, for joining us, and Dr. Zarqa as well for joining us. We're almost out of time. Dr. Zarqa, my last question to you before we leave, with regards to, of course, what is going to happen in the no confidence vote. Are you fully confident the government will sail through?
Inshallah, Sana, and it will be a great day. And but I hope, it's not about our government or any other government. This is about Pakistan.
Sure,
and we hope that in the long term and in the short term, Pakistan wins. And Pakistan's economy, the way Prime Minister has taken it up, the way, in spite of COVID, we have come out as the leaders in Southeast Asia, we are proud of that, and we hope that continues, and Pakistan emerges stronger, prosperous, and a leader in peace, inshallah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Zarqa, for joining us and being with us today. Of course, at the end of the day, it is in fact, about Pakistan. When we talk about Pakistan, of course, there is also the terrorist threat that is emerging from terrorist groups regrouping in Balochistan. This is something that has been confirmed by the Interior Ministry as well. And we've talked about earlier the spike in terrorist activities in the country as well, and the kind of response that Pakistan needs to give with regards to that. There have been a number of countermeasures that have been outlined by the Interior Minister, but what it really boils down to when we talk about what our response is going to be, what really is that, Faisal? When we look at these terrorist groups regrouping, of course, this is something that is happening simultaneously with regards to also the political situation in the country, and there's obviously a lot at stake over there as well. What is the government's response with regards to what needs to be done at this moment, considering what's going on?
Sana, our security forces, they are tirelessly working against it, and of course the government is taking the measures. Right now in Balochistan, the regrouping of all of these banned outfits, it has a lot to do with, of course, whatever is happening in Afghanistan, number one. Number two, there is an external help that reaches to Afghanistan from Iran as well as Iraq. There are certain sources that claim that all of these, BLF guys, what they do is after conducting their activities, of course, through Iran, they reach to Iraq, and they are associating with ISIS Khorasan, with other banned outfits as well, because in Iraq, as it is a troubled land, they are being facilitated there, number one. Number two, they are being facilitated in Afghanistan as well. There are a couple of provinces of Afghanistan which are known for ISIS Khorasan and other banned outfits as well. So government is trying its best to counter, and the security forces day and night, they are working against them. We are hoping that the things would settle up very soon. I just want to say that, of course, there was a time that India, of course, was on our western border, and it was easier for India. Right now, it is getting, Pakistan is making harder and harder for India to reach out there. But, of course, they have their own lines of sources through which they have been conducting in past, and we know we have Kulbhushan Jadhav and the kind of nexus on the ground he had that reached out to Karachi as well and within Balochistan, and he was caught from Balochistan. So all of these things, of course, they will be countered very soon in coming future.
Right, and this is important, of course, in terms of our immediate response to the threat as well. But what is interesting is also when the Interior Minister also spoke about a larger, perhaps, impact that's going to be there in place with regards to these terrorist activities, with reference to the socioeconomic development of the province, of course, and then also to engage with the disgruntled Baloch tribesmen. Can the government, Farrukh, really actually achieve these two? Because this is going to be essential in the long run. Right,
Sana, this actually takes me back to a press conference by Muid Yusuf, Dr. Muid Yusuf, and DG ISPR. And in that press, actually, they had presented all the evidences which were needed, and it was before the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban, but it was to show that all the terrorist groups, Balochistan terrorist groups, and also TTP offshoots as well, they are coming together because India is sponsoring that, right? That was happening, it continues to happen. Why Balochistan? Because there is a lot of exposure. Balochistan is the, when it comes to territorial, size, it is somewhere around 44% of Pakistan's territorial mass, land mass, right? So it becomes easy, and it is more exposed to Afghanistan, it is exposed to Iran as well. And then it is the hub of CPEC activities. So the terrorists, and especially Indians, are going to, and they have an interest to attack that area so that activities are offset. Now, let me take you to another day. When APS Peshawar happened, and after that there was a national action plan. So there were two components. One was military, and we have been seeing that our armed forces, our law enforcement agencies have been diligently fighting terrorism. Even today there was an activity where terrorists were killed. But on the other side, when you look at the political or civilian side, it has been lacking for quite some time. And for that, let me present to you one example, and that is the Parliament of Pakistan. Instead of making laws to fight terrorism and to come up with counter-terrorism narratives, we are fighting among ourselves.
Right.
So that actually weakens the resolve of the state, and that becomes a problem. Let us hope in coming days we see that while the law enforcement agencies work diligently, our politicians also match the footsteps, and then they ensure that Pakistan's territory is not prone to any such activity, and that can be done with 100% political resolve. That cannot be done with anything lacking less than that.
Absolutely.
So let's hope in coming days we see a lot of conviction from politicians also.
And that, of course, is the hope that we're all looking for, and we all hope that that is what is going to happen and what we see in the coming days. We'll, of course, keep on updating you as the situation evolves. Keep watching PTV World, and we'll see you tomorrow at the debate at 7:05.